Oh, give me a second. All right. Oh, what's up, family? This is your boy Gerald. It is Monday, the 9th of May 2017. How is everyone doing? How was your weekend? I hope it was relaxing. I hope you were able to ground your feet, recharge your emotional, physical, and of course, spiritual batteries, replenishing what is used to be restored to what is needed. Why? Because it's your life, it's your story. So it's required that you do the work. But this video right here, family, gonna be a little different. Because this video right here is about being transparent. He said, well, I don't understand, Joe, you're always transparent. Yes, I am. But this morning, I feel a certain kind of way. And I know that this is nothing but a spiritual test. And I know that some tests, you don't get the answer instantaneously, but they always reveal themselves in the intended time and moment. That is why it's so imperative, family, that you stay vigilant. You place God first. And you stay grounded, because let's be honest. Let's be honest with ourselves, right? See, them demons stay in overtime. They stay busy. Just like them opportunists. They stay busy plotting your disappointment, plotting your despair, plotting your distraction. That's all they do. They're so fixated. That's all they want. They dream about it. They eat, sleep it, hoping that it will come to pass. I'm a firm believer, family. No matter what is being prevented, the devil's a liar. And as long as you place God first in everything you do, no matter what it is, in the intended time and moment, it will come to pass. It will make sense. And it will be your validation. Who am I talking to? So you're wondering, why am I putting this video out? What is the undertone of this video? Why does it seem like there's a sense of urgency? Because there is. See, family, those who've been walking on this journey with me through the years, you know my history. You know how I've expressed with deep passion about family and how that was something that pretty much I had to learn and, and experience on my own, and how interpretation of what support is compared to what support given is. But this ain't judge. This is not to judge. It's the fact that I see how that what we know as generational curses have a way of being triumphed, as well as they have a way of being manifested all by free will. So over the week, family, I noticed, see, I don't go on my Facebook like that. And I have a couple of accounts. I have a veterans account from those who know me through my active duty days serving the United States Air Force. And then I have an account that is connected to family and direct friends. Both I am very stringent on who has access to and who has access to me. It's not that to be mean or rude. It's the fact that no one has time, and my time is precious, and I won't waste it on things that can't grow. Now I know for some people that say, "Well, that's kind of mean, Gerald. Why is your position so stark?" Because I've come to learn that a lot of people say they want one thing, but really that is nothing but being passive aggressive because they don't have the skills to communicate what they really desire. Did you hear what I'm saying? It's no different than for someone to say, good luck, but they really want you to fail. It's also no different than someone saying, I'll be there for you, but they're not. Or I love you forever, and they don't love themselves. Well, this isn't shade. This is the road and journey that you take. This was validated by every breath because every breath is an opportunity to change your perspective. You don't like how things are, change it. But because we choose to live a prideful life, we put our ego and pride before our family bonds or status. The family trees get tested. The loyalties are not there. And the truth disappears through time. Really, truth never disappears because truth is just like your life. It's present. And all it takes is for someone to be still for it to come right back up because it has to be dealt with. Now, so I happened to go on my Facebook last couple of days, and I've noticed there's been an influx of, hold on, be quiet, lay down. I've noticed there's been an influx of people on my pages. Nothing new. I get that all the time. But it was the people that were on it. So that caught my attention. But I have a philosophy that I stick by. And I've had these conversations with these individuals, and they know who they are. The one thing you don't want to do is to put me in a position where I don't want to have anything to do with you. Because it will take a lifetime to change it. know some people will say, well, that's pretty mean, Gerald. If there was a way that I could give you this hat and you could see what I've seen, embrace what I've embraced, and traveled what I've traveled, you would understand why. But guess what? Hate is not there. Understanding is more. And the one thing I've come to understand is you can't make anyone do what they don't want to do. That was a lesson that took me over 25 years. You can't make someone do what they don't want to do, just like you can't make someone follow you, just like you can't be led anywhere. You must make that choice. So people come, people go. People you see, familiar faces, people that you know. Instead of saying things just for being disrespectful, I choose my silence because I know my time is precious. But the validation of my presence only validates what is lacked because I'm not there. There's a reason why I'm not there. It's up to them to figure it out. Now, with that being said, I happen to see something that took a second to take in. And you're like, well, what is it? Why did you ponder? Real quite simple. See, there was a photo of my daughter. She had updated her profile on Facebook. And it was really good to see how she had matured. Because, see, the truth of the matter is, she's my firstborn. She's my only. And I have no relationship with her. And I know somebody's like, wow, that's how. No. This is done by actions chosen. Oh, financially and beneficially, I've always been there since her first breath. Still, now she's getting ready to graduate from high school. Will I be there? No. So for about 2 days, I pondered because I wanted to communicate, which I've tried to do through the years, but because of how things were, how I was portrayed with her family, because that's what it is, and then the lack of support on mine. Felt like being in a chain link fence. Damn if you do, damn if you don't. And I got to a point I got tired of hearing it. So I took a step back, and I'm going to stay that way because I don't know how to live a lie. Don't know. Won't contribute. Just like there'll be a bunch of people running around trying to position themselves for the best parent, best sibling, when they know they ain't. They know they're not. But if you don't know their story, you won't know it. So I felt a certain kind of way because as her biological father, I wanted to at least acknowledge her and how she had grown. But because of security, I couldn't leave a message on her profile. And I was like, okay. So now we're playing passive aggressive tricks. Because if you didn't want me to see it, you wouldn't have been on my profile because I had no reason to go on yours. And see, that's the thing that a lot of children get misconstrued because they grow up and they have a certain bias towards their parents, and it's because of the fact that they don't know the truth. They don't know why they feel a certain way. And sometimes it is to protect them from that said truth. And then the other part is it's because the child has been manipulated and used as a weapon towards the other. And see, that sets a tone, that sets a bias up that will take generations, if they're lucky, to heal. That's why I tell people all the time, especially you queens, don't bring a child in this world if you're not ready to raise it. But if you bring that child in the world, you make sure that that child has that father there, because even though you don't have a relationship the way that you want to manipulate it to be, that child's going to need a relationship from both. Otherwise, that child will not be prepared. And guess who will be the custodial? It's reality. That's right, them streets. The things that you don't educate your child to be, the streets are going to step right on in. And the streets don't look good these days, now do it. Because there's plenty of people out there waiting to take the innocence of your children away. How about put them out there on the track, or turn them into junkies, or be byproducts of sexual abuse, because that happens all the time, or worse, end up being discovered in a morgue. That happens all the time. So, I feel a certain kind of darn way, because when I see her, I see me, and I see all the emotions. I see all the pain. I see all the disappointment of a father not being there for his daughter. His daughter. Let me make this clear, because a lot of y'all, not all, but a lot of y'all women out here want to play this game with the children, and you say, well, because I can't change the man into what I want him to be, I'm going to use his child, his seed. Now, mind you, you ain't created him. That child came from him. Form that as a weapon against him. Some walk around and have a spawning pool of kids, and they don't give a damn about it. Don't give a damn. Some live right down the street. Don't even care. And then you have some that will give their all, even if it meant they couldn't answer, but just to see, just to make sure they were okay. There's a book out there called God, I can't think of it. Stephen Foster. Called A Heart Shape of My Father. And you can flip it, because it can be heart shape of your mother, or whoever that person that actually was your influence in your development. And the one thing I've come to understand, that we always gravitate towards the things that we don't have. Now, granted, we don't have the ability to choose our influence. We don't. But it is our responsibility to learn as much as we can. And that's why some relationships, I worship the ground. I have so much respect and love. But I also see on the other side that if things weren't as they were, because see, you can't erase genetics. You can't. That's why some traits are stronger than the other. That's why when you look at that child looks just like you. It's a reminder of what you failed to do in that relationship. Who am I talking to? So I got up this morning and I realized, I said, wow, my daughter's doing some passive aggressive stuff because she knows nothing more. She knows that I've always wanted some type of rapport with her. Being that she's in California, I'm here in Virginia Beach, which was not something I chose. But I refused to be manipulated too, because that was a situation where her mother ran to the West Coast to get me to follow suit, and I wasn't gonna play that. I wasn't gonna do that. I came here. I came back to the Virginia Beach to have a relationship with family members that I hadn't had prior to that, which that didn't work. But that's okay, because what I got out of that was a lot of bad examples of what relationships were. But my greatest relationship came through God, because without him, I'm gonna tell you what, well, your boy be in jail. Because you can only take and deal with disrespect for so much. And some people will actually look you in your face and act like nothing's going on, but they know it's their actions of why things are the way they are. And you wonder how you sleep at night, because you should be ashamed of what you've done. That's why God said you're going to reap what you sow. And I feel sorry for you. I really do. Because if you have access and opportunity to be in your child's life and you choose not to be in your child's life, you have no right to complain on how your children turned out when you could have done something. That's real talk. Now, you can't, now listen, some people are not going to like this. It's not your responsibility who she opens her legs to, because she had that body before you came there and laid on. But it is your responsibility to cultivate your seed that comes from it, because that is your last name. It ain't hers, it's yours. Some relationships going to take time to heal, but I also believe that some have that Jezebel spirit over it, just as that generational curses. And what is a generational curse? That is knowing the truth but failing to do anything about it. So you just go with the flow. You just act like nothing occurred. And you just go on about your merry way like everything's fine. But then when you look around, you see that the people that genuinely should have your best interest ain't there. That's when you should scratch your head. When the people turn around and don't ask for nothing, maybe what they wanted most, you can't find in a store. You can't find it in a bank. Maybe you can only find it here. And I know there's people say, well, you know what, Gerald? I hear what you're saying, but I wasn't raised that way. So does that give you an excuse? Because the truth of the matter is your parents failed you, so you're going to fail your children? No, that's a cop-out. And I realized that because for 25 years, guess what? That scared me straight. That's right. I've only had one child. And I wanted to have a tribe. I did. But I've put it in God's hands that if it's ever divinely meant, and he wants me to have who he wants me to have, a little boy, a little girl, he'll make it so. But the way the world is, family, you got a lot of people that are just downright selfish. They don't value the blessings that they get and have the audacity to act like they the victim. You're not the victim. You're the reason. And until you make a decision to make things right, your life is not going to be right. Doesn't matter who you know, who you laying with, where you been, and who you come in contact with. Because guess what? You can't run from you. Did you hear me? You can fool them, but you can't fool you. And maybe this is the time that you finally have the courage to have that conversation with him. He created you. It's not his responsibility to come rescue you. You ever thought about that? But you're gonna have them. You're gonna see it. You're gonna see the cavalry. You're gonna see the parade next week and the weeks to come of how people are this way and that, and they nothing but frauds. They ain't nothing but frauds. And I knew something was up because I even started seeing people from my daughter's side of the family. And I told them a long time ago, I said, be careful what you're doing because you're going to put, I knew it was wrong. I knew what was going on. But see, this is what people do. And that's another reason. Let me listen up, Queens. Stop going after good guys when you really want a dude to treat you like garbage. Stop going after those good guys that are going to give a damn about you. That's going to want to love you and treasure you and build you up. Stop. Leave them alone. Leave those guys alone when you don't respect yourself. When you put a price tag on your body, not your spirit. Leave those guys alone. As long as you have this mindset that, oh, to get over that person is I got to get over that person. Oh, I'm going to do me, so I'm just going to do the block. Oh, I don't need a man. But if you don't need a man, leave the good ones alone. Because until you realize who you are, what you need, and what you stand for, don't toxify those who do not know. Don't influence or try to change those who are trying to grow into the best image of themselves. Leave them alone. If you're walking around with a chip, if you're walking around with wounds that you've had over 30 damn years, leave the young ones alone because you're a piss poor example of what being alive is about because you refuse to be the example. Leave them alone. And kings, what's the point on having a last name if you don't stand for it? Anybody can sleep with anybody, but not anybody can divide and define the growth of that child. I have so much respect for people that have come in and take on a responsibility, another person's child. You know how hard that is? I've done it. I've done it a couple times, but I know that's what God wanted me to do. Knowing that the other cat, he got issues, but that shouldn't be his children's burdens. So when I see a person take their time, try to influence, show love, give wisdom, well, my hat goes off to them because they ain't have to do it. They ain't have to do it. So let's go back to what I said, Queen. If you want to be the Jezebel and treat your legs like the golden arches and you want to just go out there, then do it. Leave the good ones alone. Let that be somebody else's husband, someone's companion, someone's confidant. Because as long as you're looking at them characters found on TV, leave the good ones alone. Because you're not going to find your confidant, companion. How about the one you're going to be yoked with on TV? You find them through spirit. And they ain't your daddy. Let's talk about that. Because there's a lot of you women that are walking around broken because you don't have issue. You never had an issue, you never had that relationship with your father. So what'd you do? Spend half your life trying to build it physically. You took a portion of it trying to define it intellectually, and then you took another portion of it trying to sustain it. Now you're on the backside of your life, trying to make sense of it all. Why don't you stop and look at all the pieces? Because they're still there. They're still there. You left them there. Like Hansel and Gretel, you left them there as you progressed through life. You thought that they were just going to disappear. That's why, family, when I tell you, kings and queens, it doesn't matter if you change your physical attire or you pack up and go somewhere else or you are with new friends. None of that matters. It matters when you change your spirit. It matters when you decide to have that relationship that you truly wanted all along. That's what intimacy is about. And you can't have that until you have that relationship with God first. You can't have that relationship that you dream about in the sack because you just met him. Because that is nothing but lust. That ain't nothing but newness. And guess what? When you ground your feet, you'll see the things that don't add up. And guess what? When you see the clarity of that, they're gone. When the soreness disappears and the logic kicks in, they're gone. They're there to distract you of your time, not build your life. They're there to run through it like a thief in the night without any accountability. Meanwhile, the stretch marks and the crow's feet will continue to compound on your life until you decide to claim it back. You too busy worried about if they're going to call you a hoe or not, when you should be worried about if they actually going to say, I love you more. Because your friends, you know that word friend? It's irreplaceable. It's sacred. But it matters not until you're a friend to yourself first. Love yourself more. And none of that can come to pass until you decide to forge that relationship within yourself with God. That's why you look on TV and they look tired, walking around looking like the Joker, face stretched out with everything else. And they're wondering why people don't want to have nothing to do with it. Because who wants to deal with a schizophrenic? Who wants to deal with a drug addict? Who wants to deal with someone that has underlying addictions that don't see the value in trying to fix it themselves? But they want you to fix it? No, we got our own stuff to deal with. It takes a lifetime for you to do it yourself. So what are you expecting them to do? To be passive aggressive, to enable you? Because that's what opportunists do. Opportunists will tell you everything you want to hear, but not one thing you need. Why? Because they don't own their life. They're too busy trying to own yours. But you know, that's what agents do for the devil. Because sooner or later, those same people will come to a place that is very familiar. The faces have changed over and over and over again, but the emotional contacts, how about that interaction? They know that very well because it's a friend, a distant friend that they know. It's called depression. It's called pain. It's called torment. It's called agony. Some people know it as soul ties. Some just know it as plain denial. Nobody's gonna live your life but you. But if you don't like the viewpoint that you're seeing, why won't you have the courage to love yourself more, to change it? If you don't like the story that's being played out, why won't you have the courage to have that conversation with him so he can have his angels come in his behalf and maybe put some protection for you? Because until you decide to put God first in everything you do, guess what? It ain't going to come to pass. It's going to fall short over and over and over and over again. Why? Because it's living history. Why do you think history repeats itself, family? Why do you think it does that? Because God gave you an opportunity, because he loves you that much, so you could see the wisdom being revealed. Did you get the message yet? Did you learn it yet? Oh, you do? Well, now let's take another route, because you deserve better. Meanwhile, you got people trying to recreate your history right now. Look what's going on. People running around trying to cause anarchy in your community, tearing up your communities. Don't even live there. Don't even live there. They come into your area to tear it up so they can go back to theirs and laugh about it and probably get high off the tax money. Why aren't we seeing that on the media? Why are we not seeing people be more concerned about who is coming into your neighborhoods when it'll be you that will have to pick up the pieces? It's quite simple, because those same people plan on benefiting from their damage. And you think God is in that? I think not. But as long as you stay focused on what they're doing and not focusing on what you need to do, don't worry. God will be sitting over there and saying, okay, well, you go ahead and do what you want to do. And when you get tired of doing what you need to do, I'll be here. I created your life, and I placed a seal over it by giving you the breath of life. But until you decide to honor me, you're not living your life. Maybe that's the reason why Mr. Right ain't came right now. Maybe that's the reason why none of your relationships last. Maybe that's the reason why the relationship you're on or in feels like a never-ending treadmill of pain. Nobody can make you do what you don't want to do. So until you decide to change it, you can't claim it. So I thought about it and I said, you know, pride is something else. And I thought about it, I was like, you know, why would my daughter put that out there? Because even in her prideful ways, she still wanted me to know She still wanted me to validate her existence. And I'm going to always do that because that's my baby girl. She's my firstborn. And no matter where she is in the world, guess what? I still pray for my baby girl. I still do. I'm going to keep praying till my last breath. So I know in the intended time, intended moment, our prayers will be heard. And I know in the intended time and moment, all wounds will be healed. Because I know it's God's will. But what I won't do is I will not turn a blind eye to what is not right. So, Queen, stop playing games with the manipulation. If you know that that's not where your heart is, then you need to be where your heart wants to be. But make sure it's blessed. If you have a child, raise that child better than they raised you. And I know there might be some people that say, well, Gerald, I want my child to have both parents in their life, but he ain't responsible. Okay. Well, maybe if you start praying on it, maybe if you start focusing on yourself, that means you lead by example. You know what's going to happen? God will bring somebody in your life to help you. Because I'm going to tell you what, I know a lot of guys won't admit this, but no man wants another man to raise his child. You hear me? I don't care if he was a bum. No man likes that. I'm going to tell you another thing that most men won't admit to too. Even though they say they don't love you, they do. And they don't like the fact that you opening your legs to another bum too. Because guess what? Birds of a feather flock together. But we all change and grow. Just make sure that the direction you're going is a blessing. Because if not, guess what's going to happen? Everything comes full circle. That's why it's called history. Is it yours? Be blessed.